All right, so I'm not sure where this recording is going. Ah. All right, but we'll start anyway. We're being recorded off the who knows where. But we'll start sitting in Sukhasana. And so we have a strap today. And using those arms alongside, lengthening up. Feeling space coming between the vertebrae, space in the hip sockets. Whatever little shifting and squinging you want to do. All right. And then here we are, reaching out wide through the collarbones, through the fingertips. Inhale and exhale, breathing those arms up. Inhale and exhale, breathing them down. Let's do that 3 more times. For those of us who feel we need another breath or two to gather ourselves up today. And then we will finish with that, letting the hands come to rest on the knees, pouring down the sides of the neck off the tops of the shoulders, lengthening up through the center line, softening and closing your eyes. Inhaling and exhaling, letting go of the rest of the day. Being here in your body with your breath. Letting things slow down. And feeling yourself as you are this moment. Reminding yourself that's really all you need. This self in this moment to take the next breath. And then opening the eyes if you close them, and we will change the cross of the legs, coming forward and over, breathing wide across the back of the body. And then coming up, unfurling that spine vertebrae by vertebrae back up on top of the sitting bones. And we'll take a few ripples here. Doesn't matter which way you're rippling. If you want to try changing directions, go ahead and do that. Or maybe you don't want to think about things so hard and just rippling. And we'll finish with this in the next breath or two, arriving back up on top of the sitting bones. Inhale and exhale. And then let's do the Amy arounds, the Sufi circles forward to the right, around to the back and over to the left. And as always, breathing into your body, going at your speed in your range of motion. Maybe deliberately switching it up, doing larger and smaller, and faster and slower. And we will finish with this direction and a few more breaths. So probably you went around somewhere between 8 to 10 times if you weren't counting. And then here we are back in the center. And then let's change the cross of the legs back to the first side cross. And we'll Amy around the other direction, forward, left, around to the back and over to the right. We'll finish with this direction in the next few times around. And then letting yourself resolve back into the center. And softening, maybe closing the eyes for another moment. Feeling yourself as you are in this moment now. Taking that next breath. And then opening the eyes if they were closed. And let's come up in downward facing dog. Walking the dog. Being patient with those hamstrings. Thinking about how doing the yoga pose is a warm-up for doing the yoga pose. All right, and then here we are in our best downward facing dog of this moment. Inhaling up to the sitting bones, exhale, pouring down the backs of the legs. And then coming down, sitting back in child's pose. And we'll slide forward onto our stomach into the Sphinx. Pulling back with the elbows, with the sides of the body lengthening forward, including the legs, even though they're just sort of resting there on the floor. Give them a little reach as well. Widening and lifting across the collarbone. And then coming down, let's do the giant bug cobra. Hands out across from the shoulders, maybe flat on your hands or up on the pads of the fingers, spider hands. Pull those elbows out wide to the side. And then with a drop of the chin on the way up, as if you could cat back your upper back. And then lift, pull the elbows wide and coming down. So even though there's often, especially in the cat back sort of rounding upness, not much movement in the upper back, having that intention for there to be a big ripple through the upper back here. Works on the way down. We'll do once or twice more of this. And then take a pause at the bottom, let things relax a moment. And we're going to come back up in the giant bug and do the shoulder twisting where we squinch the left shoulder down, twist to the right. Maybe the ear comes all the way to the floor. Or maybe not. Maybe stay up high. One of these is not the easy way or the hard way. They both have their things. It's a lot more strength to stay up high. It can be a lot more stretchiness to get the ear to the floor. And we'll just do a couple more of these. And then whatever sort of stretchy cobra-ness you want to do as we make our way back to downward facing dog. Actually, we're going to make our way back to child's pose and give those wrists and arms a little break for a couple breaths. Sitting back toward the heels as far as you can today at this moment, which maybe like me is not so far. And then we will come back up in downward facing dog. And we're going to go through the vinyasa, but we're going to do a very particular little kind of vinyasa sequencey thing. And of course, adapting for yourself, doing something totally different if you want. All right, here we are in downward facing dog. Inhale and exhale. Let's lengthen forward to the plank. And then from the plank, we're going to chaturanga, but be very honest about how far you can lower without sagging. And then stretch those arms back up to the plank. And then you can do that again or do it from the knees. And chaturanga from the kneeling plank. And lift it back up. And then we'll go through the vinyasa from there into your up dog or cobra, whatever version. And back up to downward facing dog. And let's lift our right leg up, reaching down through the left heel. Stretch that right leg up as far as it'll go, and then reach it back down to touch the left heel, or maybe it touches the floor before it reaches the heel. And then stretch the right leg back up. Bend the knee dog, get the high fire hydrant. Inhale and exhale through to the lunge. Swinging the leg through. 4, stepping down and stepping through into the long, low lunge. And then coming up as high as you can here. I'm not getting much higher than this, and I've got the blocks to help. You want to come all the way up to the high lunge, go ahead. Maybe just hands on the right knee. Maybe you've still got your hands on the floor. And then we'll come back down and ease that left knee down onto the floor, taking a few breaths, stretching into the front of the left leg, and then coming up in a Jayasana, the kneeling lunge. The tippy kneeling lunge. And we'll breathe those arms all the way around and back up overhead. And namaste. And let's step forward. Into the concave, back halfway up. Folding over. Deep breath. Coming all the way up to standing, big front body yawn. Pressing the arms down long through the top of the head. Circling the shoulders, 3, 2, 1. Other direction, 1, 2, 3. One more front to the back, interlocking the fingers, lengthening the front of the body to lift the chest, to lift the chin. Lift a little higher, coming forward and over. And releasing the hands. Concave, back, folding over. So let's do that vinyasa I did just a moment ago with the 2 chaturangas up and down. If you want, but like I said, do any version you want. So here we are in the plank. And then a little chaturanga, being honest about how far you can go without the sag. And then stretch yourself back up. And then maybe doing that on the knees the second time. Being really honest about how far you can lower without collapsing. And lifting up. And now you can collapse down to the upward facing dog if you want. And we'll all meet up in downward facing dog. Let's lift the left leg up. Stretching between the legs. Wherever that left leg goes, it's good enough. And bringing the left leg down again and back up. Bending the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. Inhale and exhale through to the lunge. And taking a few breaths in that long, low lunge, and then considering going up a little higher, maybe putting blocks higher, coming on tippy fingers, maybe hands up onto the left thigh, maybe all the way up into the high lunge. And then we'll come back down and ease that right knee down to the floor, stretching to the front of the right hip for a moment. And then coming up in Anjayasana, the kneeling line. Feeling that circle of breath. Taking the arms all the way around and back up overhead. And namaste. Stepping forward into the concave back, folding over. Deep breath. Coming up to standing, big front body line. And around to namaste. Inhale and exhale, samasthiti steadiness. And then a big inhale up, reaching the arms wide and guiding over. Concave back, folding over, bending the knees and sitting down on the floor and into Baddha Konasana. All right, so we're going to be needing our belt shortly, so have that nearby. All right, here we are. Baddha Konasana. Sitting up really long and straight. Lifting a little higher, coming up and out and over the forward bend here. And coming up. Let's slide those legs straight out in front. And bring the arms up overhead. We'll take a nice slow roll down to the floor. Lifting up, contract, a little scoop under, a little more, reaching away through the legs and pressing them to the floor to help counterbalance. It's kind of like holding your own feet in the sit up. And we'll eventually, or maybe we're already on the floor. And let's get our bell. And here we are, stretched long and flat on the floor. And we'll bend our right leg in. Take a couple breaths, pulling that thigh in toward the chest. And putting the belt around the foot, extending that right leg up. Keeping those shoulders pressing down. See if there's any tension in the face or jaw, you can let go of, maybe sending that tension pouring down through the legs, turning it into a little bit of extension through the legs. And then we'll put the belt into the right hand and bring that leg out to the diagonal side. Inhale and exhale. reaching out through that inner thigh, through the foot, at the same time pulling with the belt, pulling that right leg back into the hip socket. If you feel like that pull goes all the way across to the left hip, anchors the left hip into the floor. You can feel like your whole left side is doing a pull to the left and counterbalance to that right leg. And then bringing that right leg up to the center, built into the left hand. Probably quite gratefully, that right arm will reach out to the side, stretching the right hand out. As we take that right leg across to the left, up and over. Like that right sitting bone is trying to reach down to the left foot. Even as our right foot is trying to reach up toward the left shoulder. All right, hope we didn't fall asleep. Let's bring our right leg back up to center. And then bring the right leg down. And let's bend both knees and come up in a bridge pose. Scooping the tailbone up, maybe interlocking the fingers underneath. Inhale and exhale. So we'll take about 6 deep breaths here. As always, it's the number of your choice. And then rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae. We still have our legs bent. Let's take our arms out wide to the side, and then we're going to drop our knees over to the right. Ah. Enjoying this easeful moment for a moment. So we'll do that thing we did last week. And then we'll reach out with the left arm, sliding it along the floor up overhead. And then slowly bringing it around to the right, rolling onto your right side, and then keep going, rolling all the way up into sitting, pulling the left leg back. So we've come up in the running deer. So you're probably kind of facing the back edge of that. doesn't matter. Or if you want to twist around so you can see, I'm going to twist around so you can see me. So we're in a running deer. Ah, all right. And then let's put the left hand on the right knee. And we'll bring the right arm up and over, side bending toward our left leg. If you feel like your left arm would be more useful somewhere else rather than on the right knee, just put it in somewhere else. Side bend with our right side up and over to the left. And then a big lift up, and we'll twist to the right, trying to be vertical for a couple breaths. And then letting yourself swirl around. So we're going to try to do a couple giant bug cobra ripples here. I think I need to do another quarter turnaround. All right, so we're kind of here, twist it around toward our back leg. All right, make those arms kind of wide. And then the elbows lowering down and rippling up. So if this isn't making any sense to your body, just come around and hold and breathe. What if it makes sense and seems kind of interesting, doing this up and down thing? And we'll do it maybe about 5 times all together, or number of your choice. And then when you're done with that rippling, we'll just keep going around. Maybe that left elbow will sink to the floor. And then coming up. So if we were in our original position for our running gear, we would just turn and be at the front of the mat. If you're at the back of the mat, and that's fine, it is kind of for me, we're at the back of the mat, that's all right. Anyway, now we're facing square front on our mat with the giant bug position. We'll reach the arms inside, pulling forward and up. And then let's come up in the floating lotus. So you can use the hands behind the legs, hands on the floor. Maybe the toes are going to stay on the floor, maybe pressing the shins up parallel to the floor. So I have wide legs, so my calves are lined up just outside my yoga mat. And then we're trying to float up to the ceiling. You can also let go with your hands and do the Jian Mudra. I don't think that's going to work for me today, but maybe for you. Lifting up. See if you can find something floating, or maybe it's just a wish and a hope and a dream of floating. And then the option here is we could just lower ourselves from here to the floor, slowly with the feet and the upper back touching the same time. Or set the feet down, rolling yourself down, and here we are back onto the floor, gathering up your strap. And we'll go on the other side. All right, let's bend our left leg in. Breathing long and flat through the right leg. Belt around the left foot, extending that left leg up. And then Seeing if there's any leftover tension or effort from that floating lotus that we no longer need. Letting that go, maybe sending it down through the legs, reaching a little more through the heels. All right, one or two more breaths here. Time always seems longer when I'm not talking. And then belt into the left hand, bringing that left leg out to the diagonal side. Inhale and exhale. Reaching away and out through that left leg, pulling the left leg back into the right side. Maybe you can feel like that whole right side is kind of doing a counter roll or pull to the right. Just a couple more breaths here. And bringing that left leg up, pass the belt off to the right hand. Left hand gets a big stretch out as the arm reaches out to the side. And we take that right leg, left leg, across to the right. And making sure that left hip is not hiking up into the waist too much. The higher upward towards your head you're pulling your left foot, the harder it gets to keep that left hip from hiking up and rolling along. And the more you're going to need to resist, feeling like that left hip is reaching down toward the right foot. And then coming back up to the center. And we'll bring that left leg down next to the right. And bending the knees, coming up in the bridge pose. Rolling out. Couple more deep round breaths here. And then rolling down vertebrae by vertebrae. And stretching both arms out to the side. We'll drop the knees over to the left. In the opposite direction, our big stretch just was, taking a few easeful moments here. But still with a little reaching, a little presence in the body. And we'll reach through that right arm, sliding it up overhead. And then around to the left side to roll yourself up, sliding that right leg back. So we come up in the running deer with our left leg front and right leg back. And we'll put the right hand on the left knee. And then side bend with the left arm over to the right. We're side bending from our front leg to our back leg, which is hopefully not what you did, not the same side you did before. And coming up, and then we will twist to the left, trying to be in the vertical twist for a couple breaths. And then walking yourself down and around into the spiral, maybe stopping with the arms still up on the hands, doing a couple bug sort of a things, bending the elbows and rippling up and down. Might not be a very big ripple if it feels interesting. Sometimes it might not feel interesting. And then just come around and spiral yourself into the floor. And if you're doing these bug cobra things here, doing approximately 5 or whatever number you did before, and then settling into the galaxy spiral twist. And coming up. And then we'll just bring those knees up with maybe a little adjustment. And here we are facing the front of the mat and the giant bug again. And reaching inside, lifting forward and up. Floating lotus, whatever that means. Toes on the floor, hands behind, maybe hands in the giant mudra. Not something floating up. Maybe give the legs a straighten out. Whoa. And then we'll bring the feet down and we'll straighten them out, sliding into a straddle konasana. So let's come forward. So we're going to be going a little over time since I started a little bit late. So hopefully you can stay a little longer or adjusting as you need to finish for yourself. Meanwhile, here we are right now in Konasana. Breathing. Just taking that next breath. And coming up. And we'll gather our legs in and coming up into the forward bend at the front of the mat. And getting there. And then here we are. Let's take 3 deep breaths here, rising back up on our feet. And then coming all the way up to standing. Big front body. And around to namaste in front. Samastiti steadiness. And let's come over. Big lift up. And diving over. Concave back, folding over. So we're going to step back with the left leg and come up in the warrior number 2 with the right leg front. Getting that knee tracking over the foot. Maybe this alignment feels much easier and the pose feels a little more easeful after all that stretching out on the floor. And if it does, let yourself enjoy that easefulness. And then let's dancing warrior, bringing the right arm up and away. And into the triangle trikonasana. Stretching that right leg out to the side in the belt. And then also anchoring up with that left side. And option number 1, staying here in the triangle or maybe taking it up to Ardha Chandrasana. Let's see. So looking at the floor is the easiest gaze point for the balance in Ardha Chandrasana. But if you're looking at the floor, you really have to feel that oppositional lift up and away from the left side. So your gaze doesn't pull your left side down and you're doing more like a warrior 3 or standing split. Maybe you can rotate the head so you're looking straight to the side, which is the body front. Maybe you can look up at the left hand, but maybe not today. And then wherever we are, we're coming back to the standing forward bend. If you're in the triangle, coming to the lunge and stepping forward. If you are in Ardha Chandrasana, you can take a little Jiva squat, kind of like doing the lunge, and then just set your left foot down next to the right. And here we are, maybe having a bend in both knees, kind of easeful collapsed chair pose. Hang. And then we will straighten up the legs. And stepping back with the right leg, we will come up in the warrior two with the left leg first. And just noticing how this feels. Maybe a little more open and spacious and easeful in the hip joints. Be a little easefulness in the alignment. The closer we get to perfect alignment, the easier in general it gets to hold the yoga pose and to be there. And then we'll dancing warrior, bringing that left arm up and away. And into the triangle Trikonasana. And maybe this is a good place for you today, and you'll stay here, or taking it up to Ardha Chandrasana. You can always come back to the triangle. You can always change your mind. And make that right side do its lift up toward the ceiling, helping the left side. Another fun thing though about looking at the floor is sometimes, it tips you over. But because of the contrast to looking down and lifting up with the right side, sometimes I almost feel like I can feel that right side lifting more because it has a big contrast to pull against. And then wherever we are, we're going to make our way to the forward bend. Lunging down and maybe Jiva squatting down from the Ardha Chandrasana. Setting the right foot next to the left. Into the forward bend. Maybe one with the knees bent nice and easeful instead of standing child's pose. And let's come up to standing, a big unfurl. And around to Namaste in front, Samasthiti stance. All right, and then we will get a pigeon pose in. All right, so we'll take our big swoop up and diving over. Concave back, folding over, coming back up to downward facing dog. And so you can take the long road to the pigeon here or a shorter road. I'm kind of thinking I might do the long road today with waterfall to the wild thing myself, but you can go more directly to the pigeon. I think we know all the options. Anyway, we'll lift our right leg up. Bend the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. And maybe you're going to the pigeon now, or maybe you too feel like doing the waterfall to the wild thing, or you thought of something else you wanted to put in here. And then eventually we will all meet up in the pigeon. You've already done your high pigeon, that's fine if you're just arriving. Here we are, taking a few breaths in the high pigeon. And coming forward and over, sleeping pigeon. And then coming up, and we'll retrieve our right leg, making our way to the left. Coming up and down the facing dog, you're following your own pathway to the pigeon, or maybe you're coming along with me as we lift our left leg up. Bend the knee dog at the high fire hydrant. Water falling to the wild thing. And then making our way to the pigeon. If you're not there yet, and taking about 4 breaths or so in the high pigeon. And coming over, sleeping pigeon. And up. And we will, at long last, make our way to Shavasana. Down. Inhale and exhale. And then breathing back into your body, into the room. Moving the fingers and toes, getting the circulation going. Stretching the arms up overhead. Bending the knees. And gently making your way up to sitting. And sitting in any comfortable position with a long and spacious spine. Taking another moment, sitting quietly inside yourself. Namaste. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Anne.